Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while. I know I said this every time I come back, but school really just has me by the neck, okay? And it won't let up. And you guys know I'm trying to pass. I'm trying to get a degree. I'm trying to build a life. So I have to put school first always. With that being said, I do have a lot of videos that I have not had the chance to edit. So they're longer videos, some movie commentaries, other ones analysis that I want to edit properly. I don't want to just put out garbage for you guys. So this video is coming out first because it's one of my more simpler videos that doesn't take too much editing. So when the other videos come out and you see me with a different hairstyle, or you don't see a facial piercing, or you don't see the return of the braces, y'all know why. Some of these videos are from like months ago, so let me not ramble too much. If you're a new subscriber, let me know in the comment section down below how you found me. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for tuning back in to see my face. And as y'all can tell by the title of this video, we are doing everything wrong with Victorious. This was requested. It was only requested once, but once was enough. You ask and I deliver. If you aren't familiar with Victorious, Victorious was a Nickelodeon show running around, I want to say 2011. And it's basically starring Victoria Justice, Ariana Grande, Leon Thomas III, and Elizabeth Gillies, along with a whole bunch of other people. And yeah, without further ado, we're gonna just get into the video. I do want to preface this. I have my notes here, you guys. So if you guys see me looking down every once in a while, it's me looking at my notes on my laptop. Okay, you guys know I have to like write a script now because I'm trying to be professional. Okay, let me not waste your time anymore. I want to preface this by saying there's a trend of people not liking Tori, the main character, and that's fine if you don't like the character, but it becomes problematic when you guys mix character and actress. Victoria Justice is her own person who portrayed a character on TV. If you're the type of person sending her hate for a character she portrayed, I need you to go reevaluate yourself, because that's never necessary, never needed. I also want to say that the actress from Ginny and Georgia, if you guys haven't seen my analysis, y'all can go check it out. But she was also getting a lot of hate, the main character, the biracial girl, because of that whole Taylor Swift line. She didn't write the line. She said what was written. So for all y'all doing the most, I know that happened months ago, but get it together. That's embarrassing for y'all. And for Taylor to not even call it out, for a so-called feminist to not call out her fans being rude and nasty and racist to another woman, it's giving performative. Let me stop before Taylor fans come for me. Whatever. Yeah. I also want to say, while talking about Victorious, I want to talk about how Tori is like the personified version of what a main character entails. Someone who is always the center of attention, despite the fact that there's nothing too special about them. I want to say that. But you kind of see it a lot with like main characters that are women. I don't know why. Like we saw with Elena from TBD, she herself wasn't that special. The people around her had a lot more interesting stories, but yet we never got to really get into them because of her. And I'm not saying that's, the actress's fault. She's just portraying the character. I'm just saying the show writers, I feel like if you're gonna make a main character, make her as interesting as your side characters. When your side characters become more interesting than your main character, it kind of like, what's the point? Like, what's the purpose? What did you gain in doing that? Okay, I don't want to, get too much into it. So anyways, let's get into everything wrong with Victorious. First person I'm going to start with in terms of character is Andre, portrayed by Leon Thomas III. A lot of people say how Leon is very underrated. I do want to say that his music is phenomenal. If you haven't heard it, you should go listen to it. He also writes for Ariana Grande and helps produce, and has written and produced for her albums, from this most recent one, what is it called again? Positions, to her earlier albums. He is also a Grammy winner, if you guys didn't know. So he's getting his flowers, although it's mainly behind the scenes. If you want to support him, please go listen to his music. With that being said, it's also known that he had wrote a lot of the songs on Victorious, which he doesn't get credit for. Like, he has a phenomenal voice. Can you imagine a black boy on TV, phenomenal singer, phenomenal songwriter, amazing actor, can dance. This man was delivering, and his charisma on screen, chef's kiss. And they failed to utilize him, like, at all. Like, and then, like, they would give everyone like these like I want to talk about in terms of relationships, okay? They would give, like, they had Kat and Robbie going on, the will they, won't they. They had Beck and Jade with their whole we're together, but, we broke up one time, but we're trying to navigate our relationship. And they had Tori with some people, like, Tori's people were in and out. But with Andre, they would always bring in some random black girl who we've never heard of and would never see again after that episode, and would make them, like, his love interest. And I would just be like... And the black girl was never, like, a good portrayal of a black girl. Like, there was that one girl who was so mean. Who was she portrayed by? She was portrayed by, oh, girl, dang. I forgot her name, the actress, but I've seen her. She's, like, black people famous, okay? Yeah, and then there was the one girl who would do nothing but kiss him. And then, he was wanting to go on his date. I remember with Coco, Kyoki, something. But we never even got to see that girl. So I just feel like they just, like, didn't use his character as much as they could have. And especially with somebody with such a phenomenal voice like Leon Thomas, he should have got his own solos. Like, every song he sang was with Tori. I understand she's the main character, but the fact that Elizabeth Gillies got to have a solo, I felt like every character should have got a solo, especially with how phenomenal they are. Like, you're missing out on the talent. Not saying that Victoria Justice is not talented. She is very talented, but... y'all wasn't doing enough with the other characters for me. And then on top of that, they, like, would give all the side characters these, like, really dramatic and these really, like, interesting, like, stories to them, but would never develop any, like, why was Andre never with his actual... they did this where they, like, drug addicts, like, what happened to his parents? And, like, because obviously his parents aren't around if he's staying with his grandma. And then on top of that, his grandma's mentally ill. But she wasn't always mentally ill, as he's mentioned it before. So, like, what happened to cause his grandmother to become mentally ill while he was in her care? Like, there was so much going on that was never developed. You could have been developed relationship-wise when it came to romantic relationships. I apologize, y'all. They could have developed romantic relationships. They could have, given more backstory on his grandmother, his parents, all of that. But they dropped the ball with that. They really did. And it's sad to see. Moving on. Yeah. I'm just saying, they just did a good job of building these characters, but never completely, like, finishing their story or rounding them out. Moving on, then we have Kat, who is portrayed by the Ariana Grande. Like, oh my goodness, you had Ariana Grande on your show. Do you really, like, you had Miss Ariana Grande. I don't know what her new name is now that she's married. I apologize. I think it's Grande Gomez or something. I don't know what her married name is, but you literally had Ariana Grande on your show, and she only sang twice. Okay, do you hear me? She only sang on the show twice, and that was her song with Elizabeth Gillies when they had the karaoke special, right? Freak the Freak Out special, and then the other time with Victoria Justice where they sang LA Boys because, they were being sugar and iced tea to their friends in the name of, like, some Canadian boy, I think Beck's friend that came to visit. You had Miss Ariana Grande, and you only let her sing twice. She didn't only sing twice, but she was forefront twice. Like, she had her one-liner in, I think, the prison special when they went into a foreign country and ended up in prison. She had that, but, like, that was about it. She harmonizes in the background a lot, but, like, you had Miss Ariana Grande. And then on top of that, she also was one of those characters with a really nice, side aspect to them. Like, why was her brother always doing stuff? Like, why was he having real blood? Why would he have a bag of feet? Like, there was just so much going on with her family, and then you could have developed it in Sam and Cat, but they didn't. I'm not even going to get into that show. But yeah, another issue I had with Ariana Grande's character, Cat, was that in the first season, she was a ditzy girl. By ditzy meaning she's not dumb, but she had her moments where she would be like, what? Like, she had her dumb blonde moments, essentially, right? But then the later seasons, it was like, we went from a ditzy character who had her moments to an adult toddler who was just all types of dumb, all types of no reasoning, no smarts. Like, it was like, that wasn't Kat from season 1. It's like they switched out and was like, you know what, F it. Like, I understand every show needs like a dumb character for comedic relief, even though they barely used her for comedic relief. If we're being honest, Rex and RJ were the backbone when it came to comedic relief. But like, I understand, every show has a formula and how their characters are formed, and there's usually a dumb one, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? It's fine to have a dumb character, but it wasn't like, who was his face? What's his face? Jason Earl Jackson from Hannah Montana. He was dumb. But he was like the good type of dumb. Like, he was dumb when it came to like having common sense, but he was still knowledgeable in other aspects of life. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't a complete idiot. He had a job, he had a life. Like, he wasn't all the way dumb. Kat was literally like a 2-year-old in a teenager's body. And honestly, it might have to do with what's his face fetish and sexualizing her, and he might have liked her acting a little dumb and ditzy. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah. They could have just did a lot with her character too, but whatever. Next, we're going to Beck and Jade's relationship. Honestly, I was going to give these two their own separate like analysis, but I really like, there's not much to either one of them. Like, I know for Jade, she has daddy issues. Her mom's not really mentioned. And with Beck, I can understand. Like, I think he lives in the RV outside of his parents' homes. So obviously he doesn't do well with authority. Not that he's a bad kid from what we've seen on the show, but he just seems to like doing his own thing or whatever. So I wanted to focus more on their actual relationship, which I feel like growing up, they wanted you to look at Jade as a very like insecure, like, why are you doing all of that when it came to Beck? But when you're really watching the show now, like if you're older, like I've rewatched it when it first got on Netflix, you can see that Beck flirts with girls a lot. Like, he crosses a lot of boundaries. Like, he kissed Tori on the first day of school when he didn't have to. Like, I don't care what no one says, he didn't have to kiss her, right? He's always flirting, and then when somebody's asking, are they on Splitsville or is the relationship rocky, he would always be like, yes. And like, the girl already has daddy issues. She already has, not the ability of not really trusting men or whatever. And then he would always play on her insecurities. So when they would try and make Jade seem like such an angry person, I used to be like, yeah, why is she so insecure? Like, he's obviously with her, so it's not an issue. No, it was an issue. Like, he was crossing boundaries left and right. And now that I watch it as like a young adult, like, I wish my boyfriend would ever. I wish I had a boyfriend and he would ever flirt with a girl in front of my face and then act like I'm crazy. We would not be together. And honestly, I'm not going to say that she wasn't insecure. She was obviously very insecure, but that's a lot of it has to do with him constantly flirting with other women in her face. Like, and she probably won't leave him because of that insecurity. She can still say, oh, he's still mine. And that really sucks. Like, he just did not really respect her as a partner. He was always crossing boundaries that didn't need to be crossed. And like, his only real true personality was being in that relationship. So like, it's not saying much for you, sir. You're not giving what you're supposed to give. Like, you were handsome, but you had no other substance besides that relationship. And even in that relationship, you look like a D-bag. Like, come on now. Let's move on to Robbie. Robbie was just weird. There is no better way to put it. But Robbie, he was portrayed by Matt Bennett. Him and Ariana and Elizabeth are still really good friends. So is Leon. They're all really good friends. Besides, like, Ivan Jogan. I think that's how you say his name. Beck. I don't really think he's in that friend group. And then Victoria I don't really think she's in that friend group. I don't think it's beef between anybody. They're just not as close as those four are. But Matt, Ariana, and Lizzie are close. Elizabeth are closest. And then Leon's there. But I think he's closest with Ariana than anybody else. With that being said, yeah, his character was just weird. I understand, there was the whole will they, won't they with him and Kat, but seeing how Kat would react to him, it made me feel like something happened in the past before, the actual Victorious episodes that made me feel very uncomfortable, especially like when he would be like, oh, let's play the pirate game, and she would be like, she would literally like start getting so defensive and being like, no, you play it wrong. Like, what were you doing to that girl, sir? Because Kat seems like a very open person that unless you're doing something wrong, I don't see her really being like, I don't want to talk to you or anything, like, or take it to that level. Like, I just feel like Robbie just did something to Kat that we're just not aware of, and I don't blame her reaction, like, at all. Like, and then let's talk about Rex. I think they switched out the puppet after I think the first episode, because I remember Rex having like locks. They weren't locked by the end. They looked more like mats, and like I don't know if Rex was supposed to be black or what, or like a light-skinned black person, but like the amount of black sense, and like, you know, he's a puppet, so he's supposed to be basically Robbie's inner voice. Whatever Robbie couldn't say to himself, he would have Rex say. You know, that's how the character was like set up. So I'm like, why is your inner thought, your inner ventriloquist, a light-skinned black dude? Like, child. Anyways, moving on. Then we had Tori, the main character, played by Victoria Justice. There wasn't anything necessarily wrong with Tori. I don't think she was the best actress at the school. The way they portrayed it, I think Beck was supposed to be like the best actor out of the group, even though they barely gave him screen time. Honestly, Ivan, when he talked about it on TikTok, I believe he said he was like drunk half the time, so he really doesn't even remember half of the filming. That makes me laugh. But yeah, even then, like, even though her character herself wasn't that interesting, her family dynamic was actually very interesting. Like, her parents were always gone. Like, we met her parents, but they were usually always gone out of town for something or other. You could tell their parents had a disdain for Trina, despite the fact that that was their daughter. Trina being Tori's older sister, portrayed by, what's her name? Janelle Monáe. Yeah, so like, yeah, her family dynamic was very interesting. I wish they would have got into it more. Even the fact that, like, you know, throughout the show, they hinted that the mom was cheating on the dad with mind you, the dad's a cop. That the mom was cheating with the dad's police partner. Like, but they never really confirmed it. But the way she would always text him and be like, oh, don't tell dad, or like, he's texting me this and we're doing this and that and third. It was like, ma'am, are you an adulterer? Seems like it. Yeah. So her family dynamic was very interesting. I wish we got into it a little bit more. It would have made her as a character more interesting, especially if it gave insight on how she acted the way she did and things like that. With that being said, some other things I had an issue with when it came to, I want to say, Victorious, is that all of the show was very much standalone episodes. And when I say standalone episodes, there was no overarching, like, plot to it that made you want to tune in for the next week. Meaning I could literally watch the show in any order I wanted, and for the most part it would not change the plot. Like, you could rearrange all the episodes if you wanted and it wouldn't change a thing, honestly, because it was like after an episode things just kind of reset. Like, you know, she did that whole singing thing, begging on your knees for me, after that guy was using her for a grade. We never heard about him again. We don't know how that whole performance went. You know, did the teachers like clock him for doing that? Like, what happened with that? Or her kissing Kat's boyfriend that one episode, we never really got past that. Like, how did her and Kat resolve it? Did the dude and Kat just break up after that? Like, it was just like constantly like having something happen, and then the next episode it's like it never happened, or they would never mention it again. Which is why I feel like with shows like Hannah Montana and Wizards of Waverly Place that did so well for our demographic, by our demographic I mean kids, teenagers my age and younger, I feel like the reason that those shows hold up so well and did so well is because not only did they have comedic timing, but there was an overarching plot. Wizards of Waverly Place, they had the whole who will be the family wizard, so you know at the end you were looking forward towards a competition. And even though a lot of Wizards of Waverly Place episodes had like their own unique storyline to it, the overarching plot would still come into play of like, how did this spell help me become the family wizard? When they went to wizard school and they had that whole little special thing, it was about Justin being a better wizard for the family competition. Like, yes, each episode had its own unique story, but there was still the overarching plot of who will be the family wizard, how are this, like, you know, what are they doing, how is it helping them in their knowledge of wizardry and stuff like that. And then for Hannah Montana, you had the overarching plot of, you know, Miley's secret, and every, you know, episode, not every episode, but a lot of episodes will revolve around her juggling those two lives. Like, there was always something at stake. With Victorious, it didn't feel like there was anything at stake, anything at, like, you know, there was no plot to it. If it was about maybe, let's say, her being at that school, you know, she finally decides, okay, I want to take being a singer seriously, and I'm trying to get into, let's say, a university, then it could have had that overarching plot of her doing something for that university. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe it's a personal preference for me, but that's kind of an issue I had with, like, a lot of younger kid shows. Like, I just could never take them. That's like, there's some shows I just like, Wizard of Waverly Place, I can rewatch it because I know there's a plot to it. Versus like, I love That's a Raven, but even she had sort of a plot with the whole wanting to be a fashion designer. All of that came into play with how she acted in school, what she did sometimes. Like, I feel like that's a lot of the issues I had with like shows from Nickelodeon. There was never any plot to the show. Like, everything was just standalone and random AF. And you see it with Victorious, you see it with iCarly and whatever else show they had on there. Zoe 101. At least we had Chase and Zoe. At least we had us going for them, and everything from the first episode affected the next episode. It wasn't like just standalone stuff. You know what I'm saying? Look, pulling back into Victorious, okay. But I will say, as much as I'm giving critique on the shows and the characters, I do love Victorious. It still holds up for me a little bit because of I'm going to be honest, it's the nostalgia factor. I have that bias again. The nostalgia factor makes me enjoy it a little bit. But yeah, I can, and it's also like funny as an adult because you kind of catch all the innuendos that you didn't catch as you were kids. So all the sexual innuendos. But at the same time, they're still kind of put in a negative light because of the show's producer, Dan Foote Schneider. And a lot of the allegations he had, but I have to say allegations for legal reasons, y'all. A lot of the allegations and stuff that he had going on behind the scenes, like, yeah, it kind of makes you look at him like, dude, no. Anyways, overall, Victorious is a very loved and favorite childhood show of mine and many other kids my age, young adults my age, and even kids younger are getting into it because of TikTok and stuff like that. So yeah, Victorious was a really cool show. They could have did a lot more with investing in their characters and actually letting them perform and do things. Like, I guess Kat was supposed to be a makeup artist at one point, but then they dropped it like it was nothing. She was supposed to be an actor, dropped it like you had all these phenomenal people in your arsenal. You had Elizabeth Gillies, you had Ariana Grande, Matt Bennett, Leon Thomas III, Ivan Jogan, like, and you did nothing with them. Like, you had a star cast, a beautiful star cast, and Nickelodeon just didn't utilize them to their best. Like, I understand there was a push for Victoria Justice because she had already been on Nickelodeon from Zoe 101, so they were trying to push her, especially with the whole music thing, because Nickelodeon was trying to compete with Disney and how they were making music stars. I understand that whole aspect, but it seems like they really fumbled the bag, in my opinion, when it came to that whole stuff. Like, everyone that didn't push are people that are doing better now. Not saying Victoria Justice is not doing great for herself, but I'm just saying, they could have more than one star in their bag. But with that being said, that's everything that's wrong with Victorious. If I did miss anything, you guys can let me know. I haven't seen the show in a couple months. Like I told you, I rewatched it when it first came out on Netflix. Haven't rewatched it since. These are most of the things I could remember off like the top of my head. So yeah, if I missed anything that you guys think might be wrong with the show, leave it down in the comment section down below. If I got anything wrong with like backstories or anything, y'all could just let me know. Yeah, with that being said, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video. Again, a lot of the videos I'm going to be uploading are old videos, old footage. So if my hair is different, my nose is different, my teeth different, you know why. Okay, bye. I'll try not to be gone for 2 months again. No promises though.